All right, guys. So in this video, we're gonna break down the same price action that took place today on the Nasdaq. There was a lot of beautiful moves here, right? Talk about what price did at the start of New York midnight session, like right before London. We had price offer us a nice level to short for 100+ point run on Nasdaq. We also had the PM session offer a nice delivery lower and a nice delivery higher. So I'm just going to break down everything that I see on the chart today. Trades I took, even those I did not take, with the essence of pointing out areas where you could be looking at for entries and the logic behind them. So it's going to be very powerful. Now, I do also want to say a couple things. My YouTube page, known as Colossal Trader, and now aka the Bag Snatcher, I'm going to leave the page called the Colossal Trader. All right, I'm changing the name back to the Colossal Trader. But understand I'm also the Bag Snatcher. Okay, and I have a group that started down in Texas where we're trying to get Texas traders. We're trying to build a community out there. That's what we're building. So it's called the Texas Heist. So oftentimes you're going to see me present information, whether it's live trading on the Texas Heist YouTube channel. So if you can, go search up the Texas Heist. I trade live on there every day as well. And I will be interchanging between trading live on the Texas Heist channel and the Colossal Trader channel. So expect that going forward. My goal is to trade live every single day, trading the NASDAQ. So the Colossal Trader is still me. The Bag Snatcher is also me. All right. And you see me trade live. I'm not trading live on the Bag Snatcher. Go look on the Texas Heist channel. I'm probably trading live there. Okay. So that being said, let's dive into this beautiful price action that took place. Let me point out the salient points, stuff that you should be watching out for, and how beautiful this market's moved today on a Tuesday. No high impact news, but yet the market still offered nice deliveries. Okay. So first, I want to just take a look at the daily chart for just a second here. And I have all these executions on here just so you know. This is an account that I've been trading. All right, this account is the Bag Snatcher account, Texas Heist. You can see I have a few of these, but for the most part, this is my Texas Heist. This one I'm trading seriously. This one just for fun, where I'm doing an exercise currently on my page, YouTube page, on Texas Heist channel. In fact, this week, I'm currently doing just staying in the markets, either buying or selling at all times. So that's why I call it the fun one. The Texas Heist one is the one I'm actually trading to show some consistency there. This one I haven't traded in only God knows how long. I just have this random trade running, a Bitcoin long. This one I just haven't traded these, so I don't know how to delete them. But this one I haven't. Yeah, I haven't traded this in who knows how long. If you look at the history, when's the last trade? 2025 looks like. Yeah, so I just don't know how to delete these. But anyways, keep it very simple. This is the page I've been focused on, or at least the trading account. Again, paper trading account here, but still just showing the consistency. And you can see it's up about 12,000. I've been trading this one for a little bit now. But anyways, in total, we're up 12,000. Okay. Again, I know it's a demo account, but again, it just shows like the ability to actually trade. And I don't really have to show you guys a live account. I've done that before on my Colossal Trader page where I passed $700,000 of funding. So at this point, it's all about, again, I'm trading live and I'm doing on a demo account. So I don't open myself to any liabilities. But enough talking about that. And you can see the execution here. So we're going to talk about the sell I took in the AM. I mean, right at midnight, the sell from here, and closing out 13 contracts here. And eventually close out 2 more here when price went higher. We're also going to talk about the sales I took in the PM session. I actually recorded this one. So you're going to see a recording of this nice little sell off here. Then we had a nice little buy in the markets, which I did not participate in. We're going to break down everything. So now with that being said, let me just go ahead and take out the executions, right? No need to see all that. I just want you to look at this daily chart for a second. I want you to remember this level, this green area right here. See that right here? The C4, which in the Texas Heights, again, shout out to ICT. This is an order block. We're calling this a C4 now, where we expect the price to explode from. Okay. So in the Texas Heights, it's all about robbing banks, no triggers. It's all about running a heist. So this is our C4 where we expect the price to run into, then take off from. All right. So just keep that in mind on the daily chart. All right. And this orange level here is from the weekly chart. It's a loop zone high. If you go on the weekly chart real quick, is this level right here. Is a loop zone high, loop zone low. So, but we're just focused on this high for now. So that's where that LZH comes from, a loop zone high. Daily chart, we had this level. So those are the salient levels I want you to pay attention to. Now, if we're to go down now into, let's just go straight into the, let's talk about the trade that took place here. One thing at a time. So, again, I had a nice execution here. What was the premise behind it? Well, if you look closely, right, we had this movement, aggressive movement here during Asian session, which we don't typically see. So immediately that caught my attention. And when that caught my attention, my mind is like, okay, this is just ran up higher randomly, right? We don't have any news impact Monday, Tuesday. So context is Monday, Tuesday, I'm expecting it to be a little bit more lackadaisical. The back end of the week, Wednesday through Friday, I think it's going to be more explosive because we have CPI and other high impact news events the rest of the week, right? So with that expectation in mind, I'm expecting more of a consolidation, more of a back and forth Monday and Tuesday, and then we can really see price do its thing the rest of the week. So when we had this aggressive movement higher, right? And I'm like watching price. Okay, well, this might just drop lower because we had an explosive move higher. We left clear lows here, right? So I want to take advantage of that. If you go on the 1 minute chart, you could see, I'm just going to bring this all the way back over here. I'm also looking, I saw that between Nasdaq and S&P, S&P made a higher high here. Nasdaq did not. So at that point, I'm also seeing institutional sponsorship. I'm seeing weakness on Nasdaq because Nasdaq's not able to make higher highs compared to US 30 and S&P 500. And then we get into midnight. I don't want to take any trade until midnight. Midnight comes in place. What do we have? A nice C4 right here. It's up close candles. Price drives lower, runs straight into them. This is why it's short. Boom. Stop loss where? Right above here. Okay. So that was a nice entry here before London session, with expectation that if we get in here, we are likely to run to this this weekly level, number one, and potentially all the way down here and down here. So the catalyst for the trade, the actual trigger point was here with a C4. And from there we saw price create a 5 minute level. So it's going to 5 minute chart too. So if you didn't see that as a trigger, we also had a strong 5 minute loop zone here that price then ran into. You can see how it aggressively just dropped lower. Boom. Straight to take out or lows. These lows that were left in place during the PM session in New York. The PM session from 13 o'clock to 16 o'clock. So you can see that low getting taken there. And then also we had 930 lows being snatched. And these lows are going to be imported again. So remember, these lows got taken. Okay. But keep in mind, they're going to be very important again because they got tagged twice. We'll talk about why that happened. So when that happened, after snatching out these lows, I took partials off the table. And we had another aggressive move lower. I took some more partials. And at this point, I just had a stop loss in place. Now, why was this area highlighted? This area is now, I was considering London session from 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock. So really, I need to adjust this a little bit right here. I like to pay attention to that range. Kind of try to treat it like Asian session range. If I pay attention to that range, what happened during that time? I like to see a consolidation. So we have that between 2 to 5. And this applies only to indices. Expecting that London session to offer somewhat of a range. So you can then have some expectations of what price might do going into New York. Without a consolidation, I feel less confident in the next session as to what I want to do next. But with this consolidation, my expectations are now cool. If we run above it, I want to see it start rejecting that. So you see us run above it here, run above it here, run above it here. And we had this nice little run here, taking out these highs. And we eventually got a drop lower, right? Still a lot of consolidation, but we eventually had that move lower. Remember I told you guys pay attention to, let's go on a 1 minute chart for a second, because it was an expected move, but it was a bunch of consolidation before it dropped off. And I was actually in these cells, I called them live. And frankly speaking, I was just in them because I was expecting to drop lower. And there's nothing that's convicting me to go higher. So it was less risk, but just expectation to go lower. All right. And pay attention to, again, why do we go back lower? See these lows right here? This 930 lows. Understand that when it got ran out here, this is happening with overnight trading. So if you're a regular, if you look at your regular trading hour chart, you will not see all this price action here. So one thing that price does is, even though we have this run take place, taking out these lows during electronic trading hours, we also want to see that happen in regular trading hours. So that's something to notate and understand. Pay attention to that. This low, yes, it got tagged here, but we want to see it get tagged in regular trading hours as well. That's why price eventually, boom, tagged that out there. Okay. When price tagged that, we then had a nice push higher. So let's talk about this push higher into London session. Well, not London session. Again, unless you start your London session at 1 o'clock, which sometimes I do that. A lot of times you see the consolidation take place between 1 to 5. But at this time, I just decided to go with just 2 o'clock because it just consolidated here and this is just an aggressive move lower. But the point is, this is a high that's in place that obviously dropped price. And during 9:30 to 12, we had a nice drop lower that then rejected after taking 9:30 lows. And what did it hit, guys? Remember that level I told you to pay attention to on your daily chart? That green level? Look how it hit that aggressively. Boom. And frankly speaking, in the moment of me trading, I didn't see that. I would have been more inclined to consider taking some longs. I did not take longs here. I actually shorted this market again. But this is a nice to the T. Hits that C4 and pushes away. Let's go on that 1 minute chart, see if there's anything there that looks salient. Look at that 1 minute chart. Price just hit it and then honestly just kept going and going and going to this level. I don't really see nothing too enticing, but looking back, this nice little run here was nice. I'm pretty sure if we go on a 30-second chart, we're going to see something. Let's just do it, right, since we're here together. You see that 30-second chart, you can kind of see down close candle, price runs to that, gets respected. Down close candle, price runs to that, gets respected. So here would have been a nice potential entry for run back higher. But again, I wasn't intrigued, and I took sells that dropped price lower and got out. And that was it for me for the New York session. All right. I'm just trying to capture about 50 points per session, about 100 per day. So AM session, 50 points, PM session, 50 points. I'm just trying to frame that. So then we have price. Anyways, you see the smoothness in the movement all the way higher. Creates this nice little loop zone here that I didn't highlight here. So then push price even higher to those highs. Okay. That's what was going down under the hood. Now, let's keep this on the 5-minute chart. Okay. Then the PM session, I had traded this sell-off we're gonna go into this sell-off here, right? Because if you look back at it again, just so you can see it, right? Just so you see the execution again. I traded sell-off from here, here, and it got out right there. All right. And I will tell you guys where I could have improved that. All right. So just even looking at these exits here, I'll tell you what improvement could have taken place. I sold here, got out here. But if I was looking at what I could have improved on this trade, my exit should have not been too soon. What I should have done was measure 50% of this range here to here. And when I'm expecting that sell-off, expectation should be price should at least go to 50% of that range. So my exit should have been really taking place here. And less of just up here, which is not even, it's still a 25% of this range from here to here. So I really should take something off at halfway point. Again, this specific trade was recorded. Okay. So I'm gonna get this off just so you know. That was the improvement that could have been made. But what was a catalyst this trade? Look at how previously we had this loot zone where sellers were interested in this area. So price runs back up there with the context that if you look at your S&P, if you look at your US 30, they actually ran out all of these highs here. 30 definitely did that. So me seeing that Nasdaq is a weak one, we're in this loot zone. We run into, look how we traded into it after PM says we traded higher into that. Expectations can be a sell-off. Now it doesn't have to sell off and, run out these lows, but we can expect a nice little drop off. And that's exactly what we got. So with that context, I'll leave it to you to go look at right here at this high, 1315. Where was US 30 in comparison to Nasdaq? And you see US 30 ran out these highs here. So Nasdaq showed another sign of weakness, and hence I was intrigued in to take these shorts. So on that 1 minute chart. Okay. So on the 1 minute chart, and really these entries took place on the 15-second chart. I just want you guys to see the 1 minute chart for a second. 1 minute chart, price ran higher, dropped off, and then these series of down close candles could be used as a landmine, or aka a breaker, right? Where you can see how price once price got below that level, when price traded back in there, you use it to deliver more shorts to take out what is low and then run into this area here. Look at the 1 minute chart. Beautiful. This is what IC calls the first fair value gap presentation. Since we call our fair value gaps loot zones here, it's the first loot zone presentation. All right, this is deeper information, but this area here, without even being YST mentioned, just the fact that this dropped lower in here and took price higher, this area is an area of interest. It should be paid attention to. When you draw that out, you can see how it traded into there, right? And eventually held price and made it go higher. But let's look a little deeper before we talk about how price went higher here. Let's dive into that lower time frame. It's really the 15-second chart that you guys that I posted on within the chat, Texas Heights. If you're not in it, you should be in it. So look at this 15 second, and I'm gonna delete this breaker here on the 1 minute chart. That came from 1 minute chart. So look at the 15-second chart. Price runs higher, and then it's like clearly starts breaking. And we see those things, and it's just looking so fluid and beautiful. And you're provided entries at previous levels where price accumulated from. You do want to consider taking those sells, right? Especially at the end of the day, trading is about just taking the risk. Don't over leverage. Just accept the risk. Again, this is all done in a demo. I'm not telling you press the live button. But when reading price, it's worth considering And you can see the market's flowing on the lower time frame. Look how it dropped lower. Boom. It's a little higher, drops lower. Boom. So you can see down close candle, up close candles being respected, right? It's up close candle here. Price runs to that, drops lower. Another up close candle right here. Price runs to that, drops lower. Price trades back higher. Again, C4, up close candles, right? And previous level, these down close candles previously pushed price higher. So previous level of what? Accumulation. On this end, we sell off. Was here, another previous level of accumulation. When price gets here, we sell off. Nice level here, sell off. Nice level here, sell off. So there's multiple entries, areas we could really consider to get into sales. I got it up here with my stop loss above here. Okay. So just a nice little, look at that beauty right there. Just look how beautiful this price looks, right? You should screenshot this. So that's why when we're selling off, I took something off here. Because for me, getting up in here and a nice little move here is a nice little completion of a market maker sell model on the 15-second chart. But a deeper completion would have been below here, right? But I did want to take something off, getting here, taking something off right here. Okay, so you see that beautiful price movement, and eventually price drives lower with this one sweep here, boom. And I wanted to give you guys even more context here, right? There's a reason why price bounced from there. I'll show you guys that in a second. Why there's even a bounce. It's deeper than just seeing this here. Let's keep going, all right? We're also going to talk about the buys now. So that was a sell-off there. Let's talk about these buys and what could have taken place. I didn't participate in these buys, full transparency, but after a drop-off here, running into this level that would be considered a balanced price range because, well, that's a deeper study, deeper understanding there. This would be a balanced price range because we had this one down close candle and then this up close candle. So this whole range would be considered a balanced price range. And underlying that, we are bullish on this market overall. Okay, just so you know. But anyways, price runs higher aggressively. So we had to run to 50% of this range. All right, this range, high to low. We had to run a 50% lower into a balanced price range. And we see price go higher, create this nice little inverse loop zone, trades into that, and boom, explodes higher. Take out this high, and eventually take out what? It took out these highs? Yes, it did. Take out these highs that it was deferred to later. Got these highs as well. So that was a nice little run from here to here. And I think the 1 minute chart again, I think it offered this one offered a little bit more. I like this movement higher. This was one I really could capitalize on. But again, I already accomplished my goals for the day. My goals capture 100 points per day. I captured 150 because I had that London session movement. So I was really done. There's no need to try to capture every single thing. But this was a nicer movement higher versus when this happened. See how this one just dropped lower on the 1 minute chart here and really just kept going. Right, this movement higher. This one at least, like if you look deeper, you can kind of see how price dropped, dropped in here, went higher, then here it gave an entry, a potential entry, then here drop a little lower, and you could really take in this entry here, especially knowing that previously price used this area, right, to distribute. So this was a previous level for distribution. This level here. So when price trades into that, and then look at what happens right at the weekly level. Beautiful. An aggressive move higher. See that? That's why these high time frame levels are important. See how price just dances there and goes higher aggressively. So that was very, very sexy to see. Very, very beautiful to see on Nasdaq. So that is the business. Now I will show you guys what even made this a little bit more intriguing. So let's just go for a second. This is things you need to put on your chart right here. I'll show you guys a few things. One is this new daily opening gap. This is showing right where price closed previous day around here. This is where price closed yesterday, 16.15, right? So you want to have that level there on a regular trading hour basis. How do you get that? If you change this electronic trading hours to regular trading hours, you see that price closed here on Friday, on Tuesday, on Monday, closed here, then it opened up here. You always want to have those levels on your charts. Any gaps, you want to have those levels. And you see how price beautifully dropped into that, then took off. So again, look at it from an electronic hour trading perspective. You can then see why this drop off here was actually a nice movement down here, then take us higher. So you can see why here became a level where we could expect support, because this is where the 9:30 opening candle is where we opened for the day. So those levels are salient. Okay, let's take it even a level further. Just look at your daily chart for a second. You might not see this, but pay attention to this level right here. This is a nice loot zone or fair value gap. If I was to show you guys that, let me see if I can pull that out. See, now it's highlighted in green, right? So we want to see how price trades within this range. Let's look at it for a second. Now with this context too. Now you can see how like price, look at how it hits the high of that range. All right, drops off. It hits this green line. It's probably hard to see now, but the daily order block, right? Then you can see how when it trades outside of it, when it comes back down, it sees the high of that range and drops into it. Then it takes off. On the 1 minute chart, it's more cleaner too. You just see how price uses these levels, the highs and the lows of these loot zones, right? Look at how up here it uses it for a drop off. And even here when it takes off, it still uses it as going higher, as a reason to go higher. And if you're to measure the midpoint of this range, because what you want to do when you have a range like that, you want to look at the high, the low, and the midpoint of that range. So a lot right now. Hold on, guys. Let me see if I can get this calibrated. Cool. So I'm not gonna draw it out here, but you can kind of imagine where the midpoint might just be. All right, from this low to the high, the shaded green area. All right, the midpoint looks like it's actually like right here. You can see how price just interact to this level. So that's like the business for today. Very beautiful. Even this dive in here was a dive again, take out 930 lows and back into London session for rejection. Drop here. Right, it goes higher, drops back. Nice entry from the push higher. So just nice, beautiful price action today, guys. So again, we're gonna be trading live again tomorrow. I don't know if I'll be on the Texas Heights page or my Colossus Trader page. Regardless, we're gonna trade live. CPI tomorrow. The week should be more aggressive. We're still in a bigger context is we're still in a range from Monday to Tuesday. So I want to see this price kind of loosen up. All right. So that being said, guys, that's the business. I hope this was helpful. Again, go ahead if you're not already subscribed. Subscribe to the Texas Heights page. Subscribe to the Colossal Trader page, and I promise to be more active on here. I go trade live every single day, and I'll talk about what price did, and also areas where I feel like I could have done better for the day. That's going to be beneficial for you and I, and just pointing out the areas that we could have really executed on, whether we execute or not. It was just good to have that review, so you can constantly see how these concepts are applied. All right, smart money concepts. So that being said, I'll talk to you guys next time, and watch the video actually where after this you're gonna see a video of me actually recording the sell-off that I took in the PM session. All right. So talk to you guys next time. Have a good one. Back snatcher, colossal out.